Barry Island, October 31st, 1962. Stay back! Stay back, all of you! Williams, shut this greyhound up and get the material ready. Already taken care of, sir. A large metallic club came into view, and suddenly everything went black. Only distorted voices could be heard. What's happening? No! No! What is this stuff? Only the sound of smouldering metal could be heard from the King Arthur's firebox. The T9 can wait. Now let's test it on the rest first. Through the distorted sounds of footsteps and the calm breeze came the horrifying sounds of an engine being immolated from the inside. Ah! You betrayed us! The king screamed, his final message as his face and body began to deform from the intense heat. The young head researcher had a look of deep agitation as he kicks the remains of the dead King Arthur. Damn it! No matter, let's just move on to our next subject. They soon went up to the aging Z-tank and commenced pouring the dark substance into his tanks. By the time it made contact with his internals, he began to feel very weak. You will pay! You will pay, you monsters! Within a minute, the Z-tank fell apart into multiple pieces of rusted metal fittings and boiler tubes. Stupid engine. The assistant simply spat on the decaying remains of the Z-tank, and they all proceeded to the old radial tank who, after seeing the death and defamation of the formers, accepted his fate. Go ahead. Put me out of my misery if that's what you want. The young head researcher approached the old radial. Actually, that's exactly what I want. He props open the tanks and pours in the same dark matter, and he watches in awe at the results. Oh, God! Ah! Looks like this one is a failure too. No point in sparing the E2 then. As they watched, Lincoln began to plead to the Almighty. Ah! God! Why this? Why us? As he screamed his last breath, molten steel spilled out through his boiler, and his firebox had split into half like butter, instantly killing him. The E2 saw what would be coming to him, and as they approached, he pleaded for his life. Please, let me go. I don't want to die like this. The young researcher simply sighed and pulled out a heavy battery-charged shock prod. Why must you make this so difficult? Redding can only hear the faint sounds of 250 watts of electricity running through the internals of what was a screaming Lawson. As soon as he was out cold, his dosage of the black substance was doubled. A little overkill, don't you think? It won't matter. We can give whatever little of the compound we have to that greyhound. As he regained consciousness, number 3120 saw what little remains was left of number 105, the E2 named Lawson. All that was left was a pool of molten steel left on the track. He then looked down and saw the eyes of the young researcher through his hazmat suit, holding the shock prod. Don't make this difficult. I promise it won't hurt. Is that what you told them to believe? Yes, and they were cooperative about it, if you catch my meaning. Liar. You conniving little liar. You bastard! Williams, give me the acetylene torch. The assistant soon gave his benefactor a handheld acetylene torch that was lit at its brightest. The T9 soon realized what he was about to do. You're going to torture me? No. I simply want you to remember this. If you live, that is. The researcher punched the T9 fiercely in the jawline and slowly began to cut into his face. Stop! This will serve as a reminder that you're just a machine. Sadistically, the researcher had left 2 long, gaping cuts into his firebox. One cut was strewn across part of his forehead, the other cut in the middle region of his right cheek. All the Greyhound could do was cry in agony. Now to end this little experiment myself. The man went and grabbed whatever was left of the dark matter in a platinum liquid storage drum, and he poured it directly into the boiler chamber of the old engine. Oh God! Why? Slowly he started showing signs of prototype matter's effects. He soon started chattering like a schizophrenic. It's not safe! It's not safe! It's not safe! It's not safe! This is hell! I'm not lost! I'm lost! I'm lost! I can't take it anymore! I can't take it! Then came the irrational behavior. This is the end of us! Why is this happening to us? Why must this happen? As the experiment was about to conclude, Redding fell into a coma, one he wouldn't wake up from for 30 years. Unbelievable. He actually survived that. He appears to be in a state of comatose, sir. Looks like he won't be waking up for quite a while. Well, then that's it. Looks like this was a semi-successful experiment. The 2 men walked over to Di Woodham, who had witnessed the whole trial take place. He was in complete emotional distress as to what he had just witnessed. Ah, there you are, Mr. Woodham. I do like to say thank you for your contributions to the southern region of British Railways. Your earnings from this prospect will be doubled from this, plus a little reward for your— Shut up! The men looked at the old Woodham sternly. Leave this yard, and don't ever come back at all. I hardly even care for the money after seeing what you did to those poor souls. Now that's a little hypocritical, don't you think, Di? After all, you're the one who scraps steam engines for a living. Di took offense to their remarks, and he slowly revealed his gun, which was holstered in his belt. Leave now. I'm not giving you another chance. So the men left the scrapyards while Di, rather guiltfully, contended to the remains of the 4 dead subjects. He took one look at the Greyhound, who was still in a coma, and said, The Greyhound will rise again and hunt down its prey till the very end. Suddenly there was a bright light, and everything began to fade. A distorted female voice pierced through the air. Redding! Redding, dear, wake up! Redding slowly opened his eyes. Redding, wake up, it's nearly time for the morning service. Redding had woken from a terrible dream, and found himself sitting next to M7 number 3245, Melissa Henriksen, in their shed at Wenford. Redding, are you all right? You look as if you've had a nightmare. No, Melissa, I'm fine. Nothing to worry about. All right. I'm just making sure. After all, you are the star attraction on the Bodmin and Wenford Railway. I know. Both engines roll out of their sheds and headed off to call their first morning commuters to Bodmin. Melissa was oblivious to the dark experience Redding had undergone, and would remain a secret till something from Redding's past returns to haunt him once more. There is something in the water, and it is not pleasant at all. The end.